With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're grinding out bicep curls or muscling the couch across the living room, crushing morning miles, or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, Smoothie King has fuel to help you maximize your workouts, own your recovery, and elevate your game. Give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs with a lineup of delicious smoothies made to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
I walk a straight line, shackled and chained. Oh, gruesome Gertie is calling my name. There is no mercy in this penitentiary. Just ask the Hillstring Gang or Angola 3. Die inside these walls, inside the wire. And when the wolf cries, I know it's over. Oh, bloody Angola. Oh, bloody
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bloody Angola, a podcast 142 years in the making, the complete story of America's bloodiest prison. I'm Jim Chapman, and today I'm continuing with part 2 of People Hunter. And the last time that I left you, Ryan Sharpe had been arrested. In the subsequent questioning, he had admitted to the murder of 3 men and the attempted murder of another in an elaborate claim of collecting people tags, people hunting tags, if you will. So I'm going to pick up there. And after confessing to all of this, of course, it's straight to jail for 36-year-old Ryan Sharpe. And this is in the late fall. It's actually late October of 2017. And a lot came out regarding Ryan Sharpe publicly. The fact that he owned a fairly successful plumbing company, and the fact that his father was retired law enforcement, dominated local media as of this time. Now, the investigation was swift. Police were able to find tons of physical evidence, including matching casings found at the scene to rifles that Sharpe owned. So that, his confession, and all the other things they had, there's just no doubt this guy committed these crimes. So from there, the charges were first-degree murder of Brad DeFranceschi, second-degree murder of Tommy Bass, second-degree murder of Carol Breeden, and the attempted first-degree murder of Buck Hornsby. Now, an interesting thing happens on December 14th of 2017. A woman that was living with Sharpe when he was arrested, well, she was arrested after stealing $14,500 from Sharpe's safe at his home. Sheriff Jeff Travis came out in the media and said Robin Linder, who was 54, broke into the safe and she stole money, but he emphasized she was not involved in any of the shootings whatsoever. So from there, the legal gymnastics continued, and they got ridiculous. There was delay after delay. And in April of 2018, East Feliciana Parish District Attorney Sam DeQuilla, he opted not to seek the death penalty. And he gave some reasons for this. Primarily, he cited the time involved in prosecuting such a case. DeQuilla knew the defense, they're going to pull the mentally unfit for trial defense. There was no doubt about that. And if it's a death penalty case, that can stretch it out for more than a decade, to be honest, maybe even more than that. He was trying to get this guy in jail at least for the rest of his life. Look, I'm not saying I agree with it. I don't know what the family's thoughts were on this. Personally, to me, if anybody deserves the death penalty, it's people that commit crimes like this on innocent human beings. But they had their reasons, and that's what they were going with. Life in prison. He let the defense know that as well. So time moves on, and nearly 2 years after the killing, jury selection finally starts in East Feliciana Parish. And the trial started in the winter of 2019. Now, this trial took about a week to complete. And when DeQuilla opened the trial, he argued that Sharpe took plenty of steps to not get caught, such as destroying or throwing away ballistic evidence like bullets. And you heard that in his confession. He even mentioned that he took one of the shotgun shells that had flew in the back of his truck and he had burned it or threw it in a fire to get rid of the evidence and then disposed of the brass. He also mentioned during his confession that he intentionally left his cell phone at home so he could not be tracked or didn't have to worry about being tracked. And he said he would even pull his battery out of his cell phone at times. He mentioned that he would circle the homes before shooting the victims to make sure that no witnesses would be present. All of those things show what? Premeditation of some sort. That's important. Why is it important? Well, it proves he's sane, because an insane person, by definition, does not know what they're doing is wrong. Same as someone who claims temporary insanity, which was incidentally exactly Ryan Sharpe's plea. Not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. The defense also made claims that in the months leading up to the shootings, he became detached from friends and family, and that he started neglecting his plumbing business. They used examples of how Sharpe became very paranoid and said he had no memory of the shootings. So the entire task of the jury in this case was not to determine so much whether Sharpe committed these shootings. That was clear. He confessed to it. The only real determination they had to make was whether he knew that what he was doing was wrong when he committed those shootings. And I want to mention the support quickly that all the families had for each other in this case, because it's worth pointing out. Now, although this was a trial that was only for the killing of Brad DeFranceschi, every family affected by the actions were there throughout the trial. All the physical evidence was shown, including the interrogation video I played you last week, which I just cannot imagine how hard that was for the families to hear. I mean, the graphic details of that in court. As far as the defense, only 5 witnesses were called, all essentially speaking to Sharpe's mental state. These witnesses included his father and some friends and a couple of expert witnesses. And when it was all over, a week later, the jury voted 11-1 to convict Ryan Sharpe of first-degree murder. And that would become a major issue later on. Why? Just a few months later, after that verdict, the Supreme Court actually changed the law as it relates to criminal convictions, requiring a unanimous jury verdict. Remember, this case was 11-1. Now, the initial thought was due to the fact that the crimes in the trial took place before the law was changed, it certainly wouldn't apply here. However, a district judge did not see it that way and threw the verdict out, which meant, believe it or not, a whole new trial would have to take place. There were higher stakes this time because the DA, Sam DeQuilla, would again seek a first-degree murder conviction. The jury would have to be unanimous. No easy task when you're going up against an insanity defense, especially. The families, they were shocked and understandably disgusted, especially the DeFranceschi family. They would have to go through all of this again. They would have to relive this nightmare again. And the trial would not come around the second time for 4.5 years after the first, due to several motions regarding Sharpe's mental capacity, etc. But the second trial of Ryan Sharpe did finally happen. This was in August of 2024. Now, this is some 7.5 years after he killed Brad DeFranceschi. And after just 1 hour of deliberations, a 12-person panel did indeed find Ryan Sharpe guilty of murder in the first degree of Brad DeFranceschi. So I say this often, and it's no exception in this case, that there are always victims on both sides. After the guilty verdict, the mother of Ryan Sharpe, she spoke to reporter Kieran Chawla, and she said, quote, "I pray that today's verdict will bring the DeFranceschi family closure in this horrific event. Through our grief today, I would like to offer our prayers to the victims and families that have always been there. We offer them peace," unquote. Now, this was the first time that Sharpe's family had ever spoken out in public. And look, no matter how evil someone is, there's always a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, someone somewhere that loves that person. And I thought they handled the situation with as much grace as they could, considering the circumstances. Now, during this second trial, incidentally, the state called 14 witnesses. The defense only called 3: Sharpe's father, his sister, and one of Sharpe's closest childhood friends. And in October of 2024, Ryan Sharpe was sentenced again to life inside a bloody Angola for the murder of Brad DeFranceschi. And that was a obviously unanimous verdict this time around. So what about the other victim? Next up for Ryan Sharpe was the trial in the murder of Carol Breeden, which, if you'll remember, occurred just across the line in East Baton Rouge Parish. And as despicable as this is, in my mind, more delays. 33 court appearances for the Breeden family. And in April of 2025, yet another delay, as the judge in the case ordered what she termed a sanity commission to be formed to determine if this guy was sane. It is absolutely infuriating to me that the rights in these cases are always weighted towards the accused and not the victims. And in this case, someone who obviously did everything he said he did. Pisses me off. But on May 20th, 2025, just a few months ago, doctors did find Ryan Sharpe competent to stand trial for the murder of Carol Breeden. And a trial date was set for November 17th of 2025. And DA Hiller Moore, who is the Baton Rouge DA, and lead prosecutor Dana Cummings, they said they are going to seek life in prison for Ryan Sharpe. Now, likely, we're looking at nearly 10 years after the killings before just 2 of the 4 families will see justice. Of course, they will never get closure, but sadly, justice will have to wait until this trial is over for Buck Hornsby and the family of Tommy Bass. And of course, I'll keep you updated. Crime Wire Weekly. For those of you that have not heard the show, I do this show with Kelly Jennings. It drops every Friday, and we just highlight the true crime headlines from around the country for that week. The trending headlines, the news where we offer our little bit of commentary, our unique commentary, if you will. And today I'm going to play you just a little half-hour preview of this past week's episode. The episodes are about an hour in length. And if you like it, you can search Crime Wire Weekly wherever you're listening right now to this episode. You can follow it, and I'll also put it in the description of this episode, the links to go follow Crime Wire Weekly if you're so inclined. But all right, folks, welcome back to Crime Wire Weekly. We're going to be talking about a ton of crime that has taken place. Louisiana police officials, they have arrested several police chiefs in several different parishes of the state on a fraud plot that you are absolutely not going to believe. If you're like me, it will blow your mind. I never saw this one coming, but they have been arrested. Interesting thing was they were arrested at an actual Louisiana police chief convention of all things. So I'm sure that wasn't embarrassing for them. 2 women were killed in Kentucky and a trooper was shot in a church. We're going to discuss that as well and much more. So stay tuned for that. And of course, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Kelly Jennings.
And how was your week thus far, Kelly Jennings?
It's been a wild one for me. I've been watching trials on TV.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy that.
Look, some people like to watch movies. Some people like to watch cartoons. This girl is watching true crime 24/7.
Yeah. You are a true crime aficionado,
I believe.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you are. I couldn't spell that nor pronounce it. But if you're listening to this show, you're probably a true crime fan just like us. And I'm sure you spend your own time watching trials and things of that nature. All right, so let's get into it. We are going to start out in Louisiana, and 4 law enforcement officials, including 2 current police chiefs in Louisiana, are accused of fabricating police reports in a scheme to illegally obtain U.S. visas for immigrants. This from federal prosecutors. A Louisiana businessman is also charged in the scheme. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of Louisiana alleges that between December 26th of 2015 and July 15th of 2025, that's right, 10 years, businessman Chandrakant Patel, Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, former Glenmora Police Chief Thibault Onicia, and Michael Slaney, and I apologize if that pronunciation is off, a marshal in the 5th Ward of the Marshal's Office, all conspired to produce false reports that were used to apply for what's known as U visas, where victims of certain crimes are eligible. Immigrants seeking U visas would contact Patel. Now, Patel, I'll just go ahead and tell you this. He owned a Subway sandwich shop. He was a business owner in the area, and basically he was a middleman for this whole scheme. And I'm going to deviate from this article because I know this kind of well. He was a middleman for this scheme, and he would set up to where he would go to the police chief and he would say, hey, look, I've got a guy, he's an immigrant, he's in this country, but he don't want to go back to wherever it was he was from. And so we would like to pay you $5,000. And in exchange for that $5,000, we want you to say that he's a witness in a crime, or we want you to say that he's a victim of a crime. Now, in either one of those 2 cases, the U visa is a visa specifically developed to keep that person in this country if they are witness or a victim to a crime. Not only that, but if you're a family member of someone that is a witness or victim of a crime that is an immigrant, you also get to stay in the country. So to really put it into layman's terms, they were totally fabricating police reports to say that someone was either the victim of a crime or they were a witness to a crime so that that person could say in this country, this Subway sandwich shop owner would pay $5,000 each for this. And get this, there were hundreds of immigrants that took advantage of this, if you will, this scheme. And it is all coming to roost, I guess you could say, for these folks, and they have dropped the hammer. So they actually went into the Louisiana Police Chief Convention where these two chiefs were and basically said, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. It is wild. A marshal also involved in this. And as I said, the sandwich shop owner was the middleman, Mr. Patel. Now, the only one currently still being held in jail is Patel. The others may bond and they have been released. Of course, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but I can tell you, if the feds have done all of
10
this,
years.
They've got some pretty good evidence.
10-year span?
Yeah.
Wow.
Never even would have considered, you know what, this has made national news. It's breaking everywhere. And to me, the fact that look, folks, these are smaller towns. These are not big towns in the state of Louisiana. And what a lot of these national organizations are really saying is it's amazing this scheme was being able to be pulled off for this long in towns that are this small. I mean, one of these towns has like one police chief and 3 other officers, and he's putting in over 100 of these.
Right. And weren't they all armed robberies or something? Like, it was like a bizarre, when you look at crime data, okay, and I don't want to be dry right now, but seriously, when you look at crime data, you have projections of amounts of crime in a certain area, and demographics and all that are looked at that, and population. And then there's this disproportionate amount of armed robberies.
Yes.
And then you have to wonder, okay, well, obviously those aren't going to trial because they didn't happen.
Yeah.
So what's that about? And I'm thinking that might have been what clued in the feds. Maybe a tip, but also, maybe that might have been what clued them in, because it just doesn't jive with the traditional.
I agree. And over time, I mean, this has been 10 years, so nobody was clued in for quite a while, which is the shocking part. And you're absolutely right. I think a lot of it played into it. But, this stuff is elaborate. It's not as easy as saying, okay, here's a proof of a police report of this guy being involved. He was a witness to an armed robbery, let's say. And here's the police report. So we need him to stay in town because he could be a witness.
All right.
We don't need him to be deported at this point or made to leave the country. Well, the issue is there's a lot of paperwork behind that. People check that, or supposed to be.
That's what I was going to say. Check
it's
some
verified.
balances.
There's a lot of things going on there. And so the shocking thing is you could see in New Orleans something like this kind of sliding through, because there's so many people in New Orleans. There's so much opportunity. But literally, like, one of these towns is like 1,000 people total. And you've got 100 immigrants involved in bank robberies. How they didn't catch that this soon, I'm not blaming anybody. I know this is a big country and you have a lack of people to check things like this, but
and it wasn't
people in
for
some
like
hot shit right
before,
now.
Yeah, and before people start going, oh, well, maybe this was like a do-good thing, which I'm not saying it was, but, these poor immigrants, they didn't want to. No. They were profiting by this scheme. They were being paid. The
$5,000
yes.
each.
Yes. And so now we've got this corruption that's disgusting. These people always say they should be held to a higher standard. No, how about hold them to the damn standard? Let's just hold them to the standard.
Yeah.
And they have, this is sick. It's wrong. And then it makes you wonder, as with so many other cases where cops gone bad, what other things have they done that are corrupt? Are there people behind bars right now that took the fall for something they didn't do? It does make you wonder. It makes your brain start to wonder if you can be paid off that easily. Wow.
Yeah, and the biggest picture issue for me is, look, no one hates this more than good cops.
Yeah.
No one hates this more than good police chiefs, good sheriffs. You know why? Because now they're going to get scrutinized harder because of stupidity of these 2 police chiefs. All the police chiefs are going to be scrutinized harder. It's going to be harder for legitimate immigrants that this U visa program was made for.
Yeah.
If they do witness a crime, it's going to be hard for a police chief to even want to process that.
In that
because he's going to be like, I don't want people to think that I'm doing what this jackass in Forest Wood, Louisiana did. I don't want my people thinking this. It creates issues throughout the entire law enforcement community.
The job's hard enough as it is, and everyone's screaming all these times. They're saying that the police have done something wrong when they haven't, and then this happens. They're like, see, See? And they just use it to add fuel to the fire. Well, let's go to Kentucky. 2 women were shot and killed at a Kentucky church after a suspect who shot and wounded a state trooper fled there this past Sunday. The 2 people were killed and were identified by officials as Beverly Gum, 72, and Christina Combs, 34, and they were a mother and daughter. The suspect was also killed. The suspect was later identified by the coroner as 47-year-old Guy House, who died from a gunshot wound at the church. 2 others, both men, were wounded by the gunman, Weather said. Police said Monday that both men were in critical condition and the state trooper was in stable condition. Family members of the victim said that House showed up at the church looking for one of Gum's daughters, who is the mother of his 3 children. When they said that she wasn't there, he responded, quote, "I guess someone's going to have to die," end quote. The family members who are Gum's daughters said House shot and killed their mother and also shot their father, James, who is the pastor of the Richmond Road Baptist Church. The other victims, they said, were another one of their sisters who was killed and her husband who was wounded. The family said that House allegedly suffered from severe mental health issues, had an ongoing drug problem with methamphetamines, and was under the influence when he shot their relatives. The police chief said the shooting began after the trooper pulled him over near the Bluegrass Airport in Lexington. After shooting the trooper before noon on Sunday, the suspect carjacked another vehicle and ended up at the Richmond Road Baptist Church in southwest Lexington. No injuries were reported during the carjacking. The shooting spree ended when Lexington police shot and killed the suspect.
Horrible. Shoot at and severely injure a state trooper where it occurred at a church. Horrific. Most of the people going there, I would say all of the people probably going to that church, nobody wanted to see that day. It doesn't really say there had to be some kind of issue there with.
Well, it says too, he obviously went there to kill somebody because he said someone's going to have to die.
It doesn't specify were they estranged and everybody could see this coming. It doesn't really specify if this was just a totally out of character thing, but with them accusing him of being mentally ill and obvious, thank you, Captain Obvious, for that. Right. You got to be pretty crazy to do what he just pulled off.
He wasn't too crazy to get the gun, load the bullets, shoot the cop, make it to the church, and try to kill everybody. So
yeah, and so just a horrible situation unfolding in Kentucky, and hopefully some information coming as to what spurred this.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some background information, but for that family, I would like to say, absolute prayers and thoughts. And I hope that the survivors that are hanging in there make a full recovery and they can get some sort of answers.
Okay, let's go to Indiana. And a communication through Snapchat has triggered an FBI investigation into an Indianapolis mother of 7 for an alleged sex trafficking attempt of her 7-month-old daughter that ultimately led to her arrest. Now, when first confronted by agents, this was in November 11th of 2024, Morgan Stapp, who was 32, told them that her Snapchat had recently been hacked and she no longer had access to it. She also said she was upset at the loss of the photos of her 7 children. So these agents confront her about obvious allegations, and she says, "Oh, my account's been hacked." The woman then told them she received an email from the social media platform that told her account had been permanently banned for suspected online commercial sex transactions. I wonder why. Later in the month, she allegedly admitted to the Indiana Department of Child Services that she had lied to federal agents about losing her Snapchat account because, quote, "I wanted the FBI to leave." After that unproductive initial interview with Stapp, the FBI then reached out to the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department for assistance in this case, and a detective was able to acquire a search warrant to investigate Stapp's Snapchat account. Subsequently, guess what? Selfies were found of her that had been saved to the account after her FBI interview. That suggested she still had access to that Snapchat account. So she was lying. Further digging found that the account had sent over 7,000 messages over a 3-day span. How do you do that even?
No job.
In November.
Nothing better to do.
Shortly before Snapchat reached out to the FBI, the government agency launched its investigation. Now, one message was repeated 81 times in that barrage. Get this, quote, "Would you be interested in buying my nudes so I can get my babies diapers?" Stapp's account was also reportedly added 400 other accounts during that same 3-day span. The investigation showed that all of the messages had been sent from an area near Stapp's home, and all of them had been sent after she claimed she lost access to that Snapchat account. The specific message that triggered Snapchat to alert the feds reportedly included 3 photos of Stapp's infant daughter. Along with them was the message, "You can," and I'm not going to say the word, but it's the F word, her, for $400. Half now, the rest later. I'll send my address. I do live alone, and her dad is not in the picture. Stapp was arrested, now facing a level 2 felony charge of attempted sex trafficking, booked into the Marion County Jail, and being held on a $200,000 bond. KJ, go.
To say what she said, first, y'all know, by now that I have I wish I could have her. Give me that child, and I will protect her with everything in me. And I've never seen her. I don't know her. And this woman gave birth to that child. And then to say her daddy is out of the picture, which is all she's saying is she's defenseless. She's defenseless. She's defenseless.
Yeah, you ain't got to worry about him coming back.
There's nobody here that will stand up to you, and you can have free reign with my baby. I hope all 7 of her children are removed from her custody. And I hope that she never, ever gets them back.
It's disgusting.
And I hope that those other children, who I'm assuming have to be older just by process of elimination here, are vetted very carefully for what maybe they have been through.
In my eyes, you don't deserve to be walking around with oxygen in your lungs.
No. And don't ever call her mother. She's not a mother. There's nothing motherly about that. I remember one time, Jim, kind of on topic, but I pulled up at a bank one time and had a very small low to the ground car, and I'll make it short, but I looked up and I saw these little fingers come over the top of my hood while I was in the drive-thru, and I ended up finding a baby in a diaper in front of my vehicle.
Just by themselves?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. And so I got out of my car. Everybody was stunned at what was going on. I picked him up. He was in his little diaper, and I'm looking around. There's no parent around. And so the bank teller was like, bring him inside, bring him inside. And everything maternal in me said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I held that baby, called the police, and I would not even let him go to anybody because the maternal instinct was so strong to protect him, because I felt like he had nobody, and he didn't. And I know it's very bizarre, but the mother ended up being in Walmart, which was next door to that bank.
Well, how did the baby get away from mom?
Great question. That baby had enough time to walk out of that Walmart and toddle over. The people of that area ought to pay attention and follow through with this one.
Yeah, that would be an outrage.
That would be
in this situation.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst, honestly, one of the worst messages I've ever seen. I've done this a little while. I've never seen something that bad when it comes to child exploitation.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Ooh, it makes me mad.
Me too.
It makes me mad. And I know I'm going to just say I hope that baby's in custody with someone who's loving and caring for her, and that, she'll be taken care of, hopefully.
And just to put a period on this story, there are other options out there for people that can't handle kids or don't want kids or any of those sorts of things. Now they have these, you can drop the baby off, and it's like I don't know if you call it a drop slot.
I know, at the like fire station type things.
Yeah, they have those. They have those in Hammond, even Louisiana. I don't know if they have one in Livingston Parish, but you don't even have to explain nothing. You put the baby in there, you push through, and it's almost like a bank deposit deal. On the other side, the baby comes and there's someone there, and it is to avoid people just dropping their babies off in the middle of nowhere that they can't take care of. So
yeah, that's wonderful too, but this wasn't that.
No, that wasn't. I was more responding to your bank situation.
Oh yeah.
Initially, I thought maybe she just let the baby go.
I saw a thing too, just to that point. Knowledge is power, but I wondered, like in cold states, that have those boxes where you can turn over your baby, like what happens if nobody's there? But I researched it because I'm a dork, and it said that they have alerts on them. And so an alert goes off. It tells somebody, and whoever is, if there's nobody actually in the building at that time, it gives an alert, and they have so many minutes to get there and recover the baby. But I think it had a warmer in it too. So like the baby wouldn't be freezing if it was snowing or something. It wouldn't be freezing. And because a woman had dropped off her child, and she had twins, actually. She dropped off twin babies, and she had packed the diaper bag, everything that the kids would need, and she put the diaper bag in there, and it caused this fiasco because the babies were too old. They were past what the standard time frame was.
They were like 16.
No. yeah.
A lot of parents bringing their kid. Here
you go. Take them.
I'm about to bring mine up there at 16.
These things don't listen. So let's go to California. A human skin teddy bear that was discovered outside a convenience store in California over the weekend was likely placed there as a prank, despite police launching an investigation. On Sunday, July 13th, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department responded to reports of possible human remains outside an AM/PM store at a gas station. A coroner investigator took possession of the object. Authorities had cordoned off the parking lot while the coroner investigator looked at the bear, which had been left just outside the store's entrance. Despite the ongoing investigation, the bear is actually made out of latex and is currently being sold online, described as a human skin teddy bear, for $165. Kind of weird to me that you would throw away a $165 teddy bear unless you were trying to stir something up. That's kind of an expensive bear. South Carolina artist Robert Kelly of Dark Seed Creations is now taking credit for the work, confirming that he had shipped one of the bears to a customer there last week. Kelly said he'd started getting tons of messages and calls from people telling us about the incident after the reports made headlines. Our work is pretty easily recognizable, and people were sending the articles left and right. I looked, and sure enough, it was the bear I sent out last week. Kelly continued that every artist wants credit for their work, so I said, I made that, and I haven't been able to catch up with messages since. Kelly added, I guess I'd probably be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying it a little bit. I'm an independent artist, so a little attention is sometimes good, regardless of not being able to condone or whatever. I don't know if the guy broke any laws or if it was just a prank, but it looks like he definitely got some people riled up. The artist, who specializes in horror special effects and haunted attractions, said. The artist posted a video of the bears in question on Facebook on Sunday, writing that his work has been, quote, used in a prank. No, I do not have any knowledge of the buyer's intentions, nor was I involved in a prank on the other side of the nation from me. The artist wrote, adding that anybody can still order one of the bears online. One of the things that we're known for is that we make a lot of these props that are fake human skin, Kelly said. So those are all made out of latex. They are created from a mold, and our stuff is pretty recognizable in the industry. So once this happened a few hours ago, my phone started blowing up and my Facebook started blowing up. You must be pretty good at what you do if people are buying it and then it's used in the industry and well recognized.
And I have seen pictures of it. You can Google and see pictures. We'll put some on the Facebook page, actually. Right. But it was funny, y'all, because Kelly originally messaged me when we didn't know it was fake yet. So she messaged me and she's like, with the link to an article referencing this before it came out that it was fake. And she was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about this. And it was like the next day it had went viral, and the next day come to find out it was fake, but it sure looked real.
Yeah.
And so we'll put some pictures on the page, but I don't think this guy did anything wrong. I mean, he sold it on eBay. Someone bought it and decided to pull a joke. It was a prank. Look, we covered a story a few years back where it was a mannequin that somebody had put in the woods, and it looked like a dead body. And I know that's not funny, but I mean, they did it intentionally as a prank to prank people driving down from the interstate. And it looked just like a dead body, so much so that the police were called, and they show up and they're like guns drawn and everything, thinking there's a dead person back here. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, wait a minute, that's a mannequin.
Yeah.
So it happens. It's where I get aggravated is you waste police time when you do something like the second example. This first example is just all in fun.
I just know this. I spent $165 on a damn teddy bear. It better not end up outside a convenience store.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. We're going a long way away from here.
Where are we going?
Pakistan.
Good God.
I told you. This is global.
We're going around the world.
This show is global. We don't play around. And we're going to tell you, look, I hear all the time that people who don't travel outside the United States don't really know what it's like in other countries.
I'm one of those people.
I'm going to give you an example of that. That's absolutely horrific. Pakistan police allege a father shot and killed his 16-year-old daughter on Tuesday, July 8th, after she refused to delete her TikTok account. According to a police report, and this is the part that is absolutely insane. According to a police report, investigators said the father killed his daughter for honor, and he was arrested soon after. The girl's father had asked her to delete her TikTok. On refusal, he killed her. The 16-year-old's family initially tried to portray the murder as a suicide. 1,000 women a year are murdered in Pakistan due to what is known as honor killings. Mm-hmm. So this typically happens when a woman's behavior seems to have violated traditional expectations and they face extreme punishment from their family members. On January 30th, as a matter of fact, of this year, a teenager was shot and killed by her family in an honor killing because of their view on her online presence on social media. And so it said 14-year-old Hyra Anwar was living in New York City at the time, posting videos on TikTok like all these kids do. Yeah. She was living in a different world than her family. She went to visit her family in Pakistan on a family vacation. Several days after arriving, she was shot by her father and uncle, who said they were performing an honor killing because of the inappropriate videos that she brought shame into the family. Pakistan society often operates under a strict code of honor. Women are often told by their male relatives what choices they can make around education, employment, and even who they can marry. So that still goes on, y'all.
Yeah. And so there was actually another case, from I think the 80s or early 90s, where there was a family of some type of Middle Eastern descent, and they were living here, though, in the U.S. The little girl, the teenager, started dating a boy from her high school, and the dad did not approve, nor did the mom, of who she was dating. And so they killed her with their hands in the house. But the FBI was investigating them as possible terrorists, and so they caught it on audio, the whole killing.
Oh,
but
wow.
They tried to put that off as that the girl had attacked them, and they defended themselves. So, I say that I'm not well traveled, but I do understand culture, and I have studied. You learn about different cultures in different areas. Here, if a young girl is doing something, I'm assuming this is a sexualized type. They felt like she was being overly
in their mind.
Their mind.
Anything you show any part of your skin, you're sexualizing,
right? And so, here we're like, put on a shirt. Don't put pictures of yourself in your swimsuit or that are in that. But we don't kill each other because we love our children. And I just, there's a complete disconnect here. I cannot understand that you would want to off your child over your own honor, like off of your own, like what? I just can't understand that. And I'm glad it's not what we do here.
Yeah, and the shocking thing is this still occurs. It sounds like something out of the Stone Age, right? This people don't realize once you travel out, how great this country is, how much freedom you actually have. I know some people think they get no freedom here anymore. Freedom's gone. Let me tell you something. Go to Pakistan for a day. Go to Pakistan for a day.
Yeah. I have a friend whose friend went there, and she's very tall, but she did the garb. She wore all the stuff she's supposed to wear, but a sliver of her ankle was showing because of her height. Mm-hmm. And a man on the street, a complete stranger on the street, had like a stick or a walking cane and whacked her in the ankles as hard as he could for her inappropriate showing of her ankle.
Dang, you'd have beat that ass.
I would have turned her. I would have died because I would have turned around and been like, bitch, and started.
Boot up or shut up.
I know. You want to talk shit? Boosie in Pakistan would have came out. That's insane,
Yeah, that really is.
God bless.
Different world.
Hey everyone, CrimeWire Weekly has moved to its own new channel.
We hope you've enjoyed this preview. To continue listening, please follow the link referenced in the description of this podcast.
Or simply search CrimeWire Weekly wherever you're listening.
And don't forget to follow the show so you can be alerted when new episodes drop.
Thanks for listening.